Okay, so I'm back, and I have done a lot of change to the code to really improve a few things and fix some problems that are. Oops, sorry about that. I had the streaming open in the browser. So I created a class that now handles the image. In this case, the images, because I'm using an array to hold all the images for the global stuff. So it's just easier to handle like that. So this way I just have to initialize, and when I create the smaller files, like let's say I have here the about box PNG, and it creates a bunch of smaller files, and also creates a text file with all the sizes of these files, and the final size is the original file size. So then I don't have to type it as I add the images to the list, because it's going to be several images that are going to be global and several images that are going to be for the layer object itself. So right now I already see it's already working, and I also fixed the knob object, so it also loads from an image and a series of small images if needed. So it opens very fast. So let me press run here. So it's running now. So it opens pretty fast now. I think as soon as I disable the image code that creates those sub-images, that is a code that just me use. It's not going to be included in the final version. It opens up even faster because it doesn't have to check. And now the knob is looking very sharp. You can see when we resize it, it starts looks weird, and as I release the mouse, it loads the correct size of the correct file size. You can see the knob there is just stretching the image, and as I release the mouse, it loads up the according file. So it checks the resolution and the size of each object and loads according to that. And I also add now the favorite preset, the random preset here, the panic mode. The logo shows the about. And if you close, since you are just browsing presets and have nothing else loaded, no layer or anything, you just go back to the main page. So it's pretty much working now. I just have to move this favorite and dice to the actual browser. Right now it's here as a global thing, but it shouldn't be a global thing because it's part of the browser code. So for that I'm going to create. So all these I replaced with an array of images, and then this array gets deleted when the plugin editor gets destroyed, deleted. So I'm going to put that on the browser as well. So that should go on components. No, not components. Actually, layer object. Initial and on the browser. So now we should have the image there. And one thing I can improve, maybe I'm going to put this as part of the object itself. So instead of a background there, I'm going to have that. And then when I create the layer, I can load the image too. So it should work a bit better. Then we can have a check images call, which is going to go through all the images. So it's going to be images, then check image. Then we need I'll have to put this on another file because I need to access the editor. And the images are going to get destroyed too because it's the only array. The only array just takes care of everything. So if you go to the layer object, then I can create this guy in here. So it's editor, editor, resize factor, and then the editor. Then on the paint, I'm no longer going to draw the background there. Or just go like, I take care of just the first image. So image 0 should be the background. And I only check the images during the resize. It should work, more or less. So now I have to put the check images every time it resizes. So it goes on the initial, then check images, and then the background, go images, add new, and then the image holder, and then it's going to be different depending if it's FX or not. Layer object. I have to fix that as well. So if it's effect, is background 5, otherwise background 4. And oh, here I have to remove this image holder. It seems correct. And then on the resize, I check the image to resize the actual file. Then on the browser has to do the same thing. And now on the constructor here, I also have to add images, add new. Image holder, and then depending on the file. But it's still missing something. Your browser, presets, editor. I forgot to pass the editor. There's no editor. Of course, I have to put layer object, so that's okay. Layer object editor. Let me check if the initial I'm doing the same thing. Yes, I'm doing the same thing. But there's something missing. Let me see. Oh, on the paint now, I also have to paint the actual. So let's see, layer object, paint, image. Oh, it's in there already. I just have to remember to call that. So initial, resize it, paint, text list, mouse up, where is it? Layer objects, oh, not using the paint on any of those, so just drawing the default one, which is the background. So I think I didn't forget anything, but let me check, just in case. I have to remove these warnings, I keep forgetting. Background. Of course, here instead of background should be image 0. Because the image 0 is always going to be the background. Maybe instead of that, because it doesn't look that great. So this is working now here correctly. No, it's not working correctly. It's not loading the other images. So let's see, browser, close, resize it, check images. Layout, layer changes, and layer object. Check images, resize factor and editor. Well, let me see if it's actually calling. I call it one time. Of course. I forgot one thing. If is mouse not here, I can do that in here. So initial layer. Resize it. I remember now. I don't do this in the resized place. I do it somewhere else. And only if the size actually changes. So I do this on paint. So where's my paint there? Here, virtual paint, image holder, layer object, paint. If is mouse, how do I get that? Mouse. How do I get the information? Editor is mouse button down anywhere. If not, then we check the images. But we also have to create a preview Swift here. That's what I was forgetting. Yeah, that should work now. I just forgot that. So as you move the mouse and resize the interface, it doesn't load any new file until you release the mouse. Let's see if it's working. Yes, it's working. You can see, oh, that's not good. -1. Or so it loads the first time, ignoring everything. I think that's it. Unless I'm doing something wrong. So let me check again. Browse presets. So now it worked. Let's try resizing. Yeah, it's loading. I can see because it refreshes to a sharper text. These seem to be, I think, no, that should be correct. Let's see. Yeah, it's also loading correctly. It's a bit hard to see because it's so small, but it is loading correctly. Now I made it too big. So I have to I have to remember to add an option when you click on options or the logo to resize the interface in case you by accident make it too large. So okay, it seems to be loading correctly. So now it's a better code because it's easier to add stuff to it. For instance, the browser, the search box component, we don't add there, and now also not the star preset component, which is the favorite one. Also, the close is not here anymore, so I already removed it. Let me copy these names just in case, so it's easier for me to copy and paste from the old code. And then I put this on the object. So now I close the search and the star. I'm going to leave a star, but it's favorite actually, but the image is a star, so it's easier for me to remember. And now I have to remove this. To remove this. All these I can remove because I'm not going to be using anymore. So these guys here, the start and the random, what is this last preset file name? We have to address this later on. Oh, this is the favorite, so it's not a problem. Okay, so let's go to the browser now. And during the initialization, I can add my components in there. Just going to remove this top components array as I'm not using anymore. And another thing I was thinking, maybe it's better if I just start. So maybe, just maybe, since I'm going to start having a lot of components, let me try to use an array for that instead of all these. And then I'm going to use an enumerator, but well, I don't need an enumerator for that because I can search for name too. So let me try to use a components instead. So components add, that should work. Get last. So that way it's easier. Then I can just go here on the close and go components clear. Let's see if that's going to work. As long as I have some way to let's see one thing. Label, search box component. That's a label? I think I got the wrong file. Because this is one thing. Yeah, that's a label. I have to fix that. Shoe. Oh, here, preset search button. That's the one I was looking at for actually. Let me see what I removed. Start preset components, run on preset, okay. And then the preset search button. I have to add all these there. It's not a big deal, but what I want to do instead, because the components I'm using, I add this W component so I can know how to look for this to actual size of it in the skin file. But let me see where I get the information from the skin. Because I don't remember. Component name. Okay. I have a name and an ID. Okay, so that helps me out. So it's easier to handle this. So let me add everything in here. Of course, it doesn't know that I'm creating. I have to create in another way. So I have to go like this. So that's the more correct approach for that. Display preset seems okay. And the editor is not this, is editor. Maybe I could create an easy way to create that. So let me see on the layer object. Something like add component, add component, and then the component. Just make it easier to add things, I think at least. Let me see, set component ID. That's going to set the name. And I'm going to make it visible. So it's like component ID, components add. And I can make this also a part of the object, because every single layer type is going to require that. Yeah, that kind of works. We don't need the component after that. If you need it, we just create a variable for that. So the set component ID, add to the components list. So should work a bit better. Then you can just go like that, and it does everything I need. And I don't have to worry about this. So add component, and then in this case, the last one, I need to get the list. So maybe I'm going to make the array already for the component format. So if I get components get last, click value equals 0. And it didn't work. Library component has no memory. Click. Ah, yes, because I have to cast it. Oops. Now it works. So we're almost there. Then I know that the components 0 is my first one, but I need to set the bounds. But now, since I'm using the skin code, I don't need to go like this. I just go and do a redo skin component instead. So I'll go like component size, components, editor, redo skin component. So it's going to take from the skin file instead. Which the start preset and run preset are already there. I just have to put the browser close in there. And let me copy this to put in there. And then I can go open it up. Skin files. Browser close. And it's going to be this in this. Oops, no comma, just space. All these I have to also going to be moving somewhere else, but for now I'm going to leave like in here. But now thinking about it again, I actually need a skin configuration file for each layer type. So the browser are also going to be using its own skin file. So let me think, because this could be global again. Let me think, because I could just go like this. Remove child component. Remove all that's on my list. Components. I have to use the object itself. So both those resize options could be part of the object. And then in case I actually need another one, let's say a layer type that requires other stuff, then I just do an override. So resize and close, and then close and resize I'm not going to be using in here. So I think that's going to be better, because I'm going to have more than 10 types of layer types. So if I don't organize this now, it's really going to get me when I start working on the other layer types. It's a lot of stuff that I have to worry about. So on the layer object, let's rename this from layer browser to layer object. And it's going to check the list and remove stuff and clear. If there is none, it's not going to worry about. And on the initial layer, I have the options, browser, and then the viewports, which I could also put this inside the components. But first let me, well, actually I could do this before I continue. So all these guys could be part of the skin file actually. And for the main, let me think about this. Let me check my components, because I have all the buttons and faders and stuff like that here in the components. Display, fader, keys on, but I don't have a viewport. So if I create a viewport, I could use that as well. Let me check how I did this for the, let's say on the label, I just put it, the paint, because what I want to use is my new component options, which has a lot of extra options like the name, the tooltip extra, all this stuff I use on every object. So let me think for a minute now here. I could just create, just like I created the label, I created the viewport. Viewport. And then for now I don't add anything, because everything is going to be taken for the viewport itself. Let me just check if the viewport has any stuff that goes on the constructor. So let's go to the initial, where I created the viewport. It doesn't need anything else, so it's good. And then close, I can see that it's just removing the child stuff. Resize is just setting the bounds. And the only thing that changes in here is the size of the list, so I can add that to the resize by overwriting the default resize call. Oh, a lot of stuff to do. So let's see if that's going to work. Let's go to the layer object. I'm going to remove all these but the text list, because the text list is going to be part of the viewport. And then the close I don't overwrite, just the resize that I overwrite. Then on the resize here, let me comment this out because I want to copy all these values. So the first thing I'm going to do is resize it, the original class. Close we no longer need, because now here we're going to add a component instead. Add component. And the same thing for the viewport. So instead of this, we do add component new w viewport. So what is complain about? Didn't create that. Let me see. Public. Oh, actually, no. How do I do that? Oh, it requires me to create something. Let me check what are the requirements for this class, which I don't remember. On the name, the original size, a lot of stuff actually. So let me copy from the on and off. So viewport, W component, then I create it, and then I'm going to have viewport inside. We're not going to have an image on and off. Let's put this in there. Maybe we can make this a bit smaller, but let me check a few things in here. So images are not going to pass any image. There's no going to be. I'm just passing a dummy value here for the floats because it's required. I'm pretty much just creating a small hack in here, but it should work. So that's going to be called browser viewport, and then the number of the viewport. Then the original size, which I have to check. So it's going to be those values in here. So for the first one, let me call this differently. Left. Oh, that's not the size, that's the location actually. So if x equals 0, so that's the left one. Tip x known to tip. Display and preset text. Resize factor. And then the editor. Let me see if it's correct. Yeah, it seems correct. And if it's not 0, it's going to be the right viewport. And then the size is just... Oh, it's the same size, I forgot. Let me close this window. So now I have both viewports in there. And I can go, and I still have to configure components, get last, and then we can, it's going to be the viewport, so that is going to set the viewport. We don't need to add and make visible. Viewport. Okay, just a minute. I think I removed something. Where does it say that the viewport is actually part of the set viewed component? Okay, never mind. Sometimes I overlook things because I'm typing so fast. So set viewed component is setting that. so I don't have to worry anymore. Just have to resize it accordingly. And then what I have to do too, I have to go like this. Add and make visible the viewport that's inside there. And then I have to remember to actually resize this viewport. So for that, I need to have a pointer to that object, so it's easier for me to just point to there than having to search. No pointer. So at least now I have something for that, and I can go like equals like that. Double viewport. And then we add the viewports. And then we can also replace this ugly thing here for that instead. And that looks much better for me, at least. Some people are going to say, nah, that's a bit odd. But I'm the only caretaker of this code, so it needs to make sense for me first. But I try to keep it organized as possible. So, okay, so that's correct. Then I just have to resize this correctly later. And then I also have to finish the browser part. So how am I going to do this now? Because right now it's just pointing directly to the preset, but I'd rather not do that. So when I load a different preset, I always have to remind myself to update the list, but pointing directly to the preset will actually just be a matter of repainting the object. So I'm thinking how I'm going to do that. So the get image. So let me see. The first one is the value. So if I just ignore that, so that I'm just having. I have to see if I can make this work in a better way. I don't remember how the code was done for the on and off. So this is adding all the three guys in there. I just have to check. Just a minute. I have to check if the browser close I added there, so it should be correct. But for the browser, I don't want to be in this file actually. I want to be in a different file. So yeah, I keep the files much smaller for each layer type, so it's quicker to load information and also easier to organize. So let me first take a quick look on the errors, because I changed a bunch of things, so it's possible that I forgot something. Oh, here, I can't access the editor from here, so I have to add this to the layer object file instead. No big deal. So that's the correct place. Just the error string, so I really need to change that because it's annoying. I also remove all these warnings. So what is missing now is the add component. Oh, of course, layer object. No, it's correct. Let's complain about that. Oh, because I added it after I start compiling. I keep doing that. Sometimes I do things so fast that even my mind keeps spinning after I do something. So let me check one thing now. What I want to do is change another things on the layer object, is to actually put a name there. Then I can later use this name for something else. We'll see in a minute or two. Then I can also create a skin settings file. I'm just going to call this a settings file for the layer object. So let me see how I'm doing this for the skin. So where is it? Skin settings. I'm just going to use the same name, so I remember that this is going to be for the skin. For this particular object, in this case, I'm adding this globally. I don't have to worry about deleting. Sadly, they made scoped pointer this, I don't know how to pronounce that. This breaked. So it's going to be removed soon. I don't know why they do that, because it's very easy to use. Why just not rename it to, I don't know, not rename it, but because they want to do STD, unique, and all the crap, but I hate that. But anyway, that's my problem. So let's create the skin settings file. Just let me just check how I'm creating it, because it's easier than having to look for that. Then I have to make this on the layer object file here at the top, because I'm going to be adding this guy here there instead, so I can use the editor for reference. We don't save this file. This file is going to only be created by me, not the code. Application name, we're going to put the name of the layer, just so it looks nicer. Then now I can use the editor. Then I'm going to call this layer. The name of the layer, settings XML. That should do it. And I don't need to worry about the file because it doesn't need to be saved or anything. But then what I can do now is create, let's check it out, initial. Here where it creates the layer object, we can put this initial. That's going to be the initial layer. Why it's complaining? Name, because I put the name before the editor. And then I go to the browser. And of course I have to create those files. And that should be a good start. Then the greatest thing about this is that, let's say on the on and off callback, I can divide this by layers too. If this layer clicked or that layer clicked, so it's easier for me to manage. But one thing I was thinking about, maybe it's best that it stays in the object itself. I just have to learn how to use messages and a listener, so I can add a listener and get information on that. I don't remember how to do that, but I can check it out on the documentation and use that instead, because it's going to be much easier to handle. Because this way I can have everything in a single object, and it's easier to code and organize. So right now, let's see if it's going to throw any errors for this addition. And then I have to actually move these guys around, the browser close and other positionings. It's working, but I don't think it's going to work. Kind of working, because I don't have the sizes set yet. But it's not loading the correct file in here. Now it's loaded. I have to check now the sizes, and why did you not load the correct one? I don't think. Just let me think for a second in here. I'm calling it resized. Let me see if I didn't forget to set any value. Because you can see that as soon as it opens the interface, it's blurred. So it's loading a lower resolution file. As soon as I move it, it resizes and gets the correct file. So let me check what's going on. I'm going to layer object, check image on the resized, redo skin component size. Okay, that's not a problem. Oh, the resized should also check the images. Actually, it's doing it on the paint too. Huh. define. Just let me create a quicker one. Then I don't need a value. Just so I don't have to type so much. What is complaining about now? Ah, of course. Show message. Why it's complaining? We don't need that. So as it compiles, let me check one thing here. I can copy this to a new file, or just can save a copy as. Or new. It works the same. Then browser close for now. Since I still have on the other file, it's not a problem. Skin default, so it's going to be layer, browser, settings, XML. So it's correct. And then I can also create the initial one. I don't remember if I have anything in initial, but I will have. So it's going to be initial layer, initial, settings, XML. I think it's correctly set. Just want to double check now this other problem before I continue. Weird. It is calling. So let me check what's the value. Oh, I have to put string. Just let me check the value of the first width. And it does the check images. Okay, that looks good. Image, check image. Let me check, double check what it does, which I don't remember. What is it? Oh, here. Check image. If original size equals 0, it's going to load the sizes. Okay, I think I'm seeing something in here. Let me check one thing here. File is going to be empty. So when it reaches this area, it's going to load anyway. Let me check the name of the file that's loading by default. That's my fault since I've changed so much stuff. It vanished. It shows and then closes. Star sub 1 seems to be the one. Background 4 sub 2. Because it's loading several menus one on top of the other, so I can't check which is the first one. Well, I can debug this. Let's debug this. Let's compile the debug version then. Not a big deal. Just want to double check that before I continue because it's missing something from me, I think. So let me check here first. Browser. The browser in initial, mouse up, initial, callback. Paint. Could be this resized, and could be that's the. I'm not calling the paint, which looks like I will have to. I know that text list. There's not the paint. But the resized, is it this correct? Thanks, man. C++ is great, but can be very hard sometimes. Because it's a lot of stuff that you need to take care of. But mostly is the object files. So you have one object, it's like a container, a box for each thing that you want to create. Makes life much easier. So let's say my one knob on a screen is an object. One button is an object. One fader is an object. So it's easier to take care of that. So let me take a look here. So what I look is the file, which is blank in base name, which is the base name file of an about box. Okay, I see something here, new file. That's the one I want to look for. It seems to be partially correct. Background for sub 1. Why the hell is loaded sub 1? So that's the one I have to figure it out. It's passing a 0 size for the resize factor. Oh, the original size. What the hell is going on in here? YWW, which should be the original size times the resize factor. Oh boy. Resize factor. So that's the background for original size for the A70. I don't think that's correct. Let me check how it's populating the size. So that's about box. Okay, background 4. The sizes. I can't seem to look at this. 487. Base name background 4. So let's see if the file is not actually incorrect. So it's background 4. A text file which should have all the sizes. And it is incorrect. I'm pretty sure that's not right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last one. Let's see. No, that's... Well, it's actually correct. Weird. So, okay. I see the problem. I'm putting this in the wrong order, so it should be in here because it gets declared. It has to be declared after I actually load the size. Hello there, I'm from Brazil too, but I don't speak Portuguese in here because I really don't like. Sorry about that. But VS Code, I don't remember what VS Code is. It's been a while since I've used that. But everything here is hard coded in C++, so yeah, it's working now. So it was just the place where I put the variable on. Let me check one thing, because my text file has some information that I don't need it. It's not creating anymore. No. So now we have the images in here. Star 1, dice 1. Well, I could leave it in here for now, because they're very small images. Okay, so it seems to be working. Let me resize it again. Yeah, it's working now. Now the next step is to think if the browser images are going to live globally or just when you open the browser. The advantage of not having it globally is because then I can have the code for the browser, everything in one place instead. So I'm thinking now, let me take a look at my layer object, which is getting larger. Check image, add component. So what I'm thinking, I do have the images in here. And what I could do instead, I think I'm going to try to move this there, just to make things a bit easier to understand for me at least. Hey dude, sorry I don't have time to write in Portuguese, but I'm really busy with this code and it's really getting me some trouble on working. So let me check here. I did create this get image, and I'm going to copy there so we can get the image from there as well. Let's complain about this about the editor. Oh, it's not defined in here. No. Let me see. Define on the editor file. I have to do both back end and front end. There's a lot of stuff to do, but I need to do it. There is no other way. So I'm going to create that in here. I just put this warning message, which is mostly for me, in case I forgot some image, at least doesn't crash in a weird way. Then now I can get the image by name. So let's see. Now I can go here on the browser, and I can go and remove those editor, display preset, star, whoops, get image. So now my images are inside the object. One thing that's annoying me is having to pass all this, because I could just pass the editor. It's just silly to have like this. So let's change that now before I have a lot of code. So that's for the start with it on and off. Where is it? On and off. So I'm going to have the editor instead there. And I'm also going to put some, I forgot the name of these, so I don't have to actually put anything. Image. Sometimes I forget the name of stuff because coding for nearly 30 years really mess up your mind. So value equals null pointer. What's this complain about? Default argument not at the end of the parameter list. Oh yes, because the editor we need. So let's start with that before anything else. Then I can go editor touch it. It's going to complain. Okay, so I have to put this outside. Yeah, it's hard. It really smokes come out of my brain. Sometimes I go crazy. And on top of that, I'm actually bipolar, so it's not easy. But I'm trying to do my best. I have to remove all these. Where is that? Image on and off. What's always complain about my code? Component. Now I can use the editor like that, which is going to make the whole list very large, but that's okay. Editor, I have to cast the editor, display in preset, text. I'm creating a new plugin, an instrument plugin, which is also going to be an effect. But the idea here, just a minute, resize factor, and then the editor. Okay, that seems correct. The idea is that to create a new type of instrument that has several types of layers and stuff like that. Let me see if my Music Station X is installed here on my computer. The Music Station X was the last one I created. So it's a wave sequencer, sample player, virtual synthesis. It does a lot of stuff. And it's very complex. But what I'm trying to do is create a new version that is going to be easier to use, and using new code that I'm doing nearly from scratch. So it's also better coded, let's say. So okay, let's put the editor in here. It should be editor, and all these I don't need anymore. Okay, why is it complaining now? On and off. Component. Oh, I put the editor after the default size. Okay, that looks better. And now I can continue. Yeah, that's much better. Much less stuff to worry about, because most of the time I'm not going to be needing to change that. Okay, that looks much better for me at least. Editor image. Okay, what's wrong on this one? Oh, value. I forgot to pass a value. So it is a lot of work, but it's going to look great and function great. If you go to the Vuzix site, you can check what I'm working on, which is Vuzix Station AD, and you can check the interface is going to look much more direct, because you're going to have layer types that have the interface created for the layer type. So it's just easier to use. Okay, it failed somewhere. Let me check. Use of undefined editor. Because of this. The model manager. Okay. The problem is that I can't add that in there, so let me copy. It's just a simple class, so the pop-up menus actually work. So I just put this on the top here, and then it should work. Okay, let's see. But at least I have organized the code in a much better way. Then I can continue adding the other layers. Can finish the file browser layer and start working on the first actual synth layer, which is going to be a sample player with wave sequencer. The one I was working for was Station Z1 before anything else. So okay, here I change it, so I have to redo this code in here. Editor. Oh, come on. I think it's just that. It's much more to the point now. And maybe instead of point int, I could just pass the two numbers. Where else I'm adding? Oh, here too. Okay. Not a big deal. these, and preset search and options are also not going to be global. Just the panic button. Where do I put everything? Okay, he's in here. Oops, not editor. I'm already on the editor. Oh, the about box too, of course. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So it's not going to change much. Let me check where it's crashing. It's not going to change much, but at least it's going to give you more room for a few things. So I think I removed the two guys. So my layer objects, I could still add. Where I'm adding. Oh no, that's on my components. So I just could pass the sizes, width and height instead here. Then I can pass that more directly. Where is my sizes? Then I can go point, int. That should work much better. I just have now to change all the places instead. Just go like that. Because that's the original size. Well, you know what? That can also be improved. Because it's silly to go like that. I already know the original size because I use the image size for the original size. And then I just scale it up and down as needed. Let me think on something here. I still need to pass that up. For now, I'm just going to leave it like that. But there must be a better way to do that. So let me quickly check why it's crashing now. Because I removed a lot of code. And I'm going to be back tomorrow, as I'm getting very tired right now. So for now, that's going to be it. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and check the Vuzik site for some information.